like, is this really what happens? Like, no one's been sick.
Make sure you're talking to the mic too. Like,
Yeah, I know.
All right, y'all ready?
ready?
Hey, y'all. It's your girl, Angela Sheree, and we are back for season 2. That is right. I missed y'all. I hope you missed me too. We're coming in strong this month talking about love. Y'all know February is the love month. That's right. And today's episode features Mr. Joseph and Mrs. Ebony Williams of J&E Coaching right here in Dallas, okay? They are the conscious love strategists, okay? And they gonna help us get us together. And we're gonna talk about the strategy of love and figure out what that's all about, all right? So stay tuned. We'll get right into it.
Yeah. The ever evolving. Yeah. The ever evolving. The ever evolving. The ever evolving. This your podcast. The ever evolving.
Hey, y'all hear the new theme song? That's right. Big up to King Creed. It's QREED on Instagram. They hooked me up for season 2 intro. I am so excited. Like I told y'all, we're back. We're back, baby. Season 2. And I am here with Joseph and Ebony Williams. How are you all doing today?
We're doing great. Thank you for having us.
Good. I am so excited. Listen, February is the love month.
Yes, it is.
Okay. And I love love. Ain't the best at it, but I love it. Okay. And so we're going to talk about that today. I know a lot of people that I know, they're going through a little something in some relationships. So hopefully we can get down to answering some of those questions and getting some understanding when it comes to love. All right.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, let your listeners know who you are and what you do. Okay.
Okay, I'm Joseph Williams.
And I'm Ebony Williams.
And we're co-founders of J&E Coaching, where we help couples to love consciously.
In order to live happily.
Okay, y'all see the cohesiveness up in here? Love consciously to live happily. What does that mean?
Okay, actually, this stems from last year. Mm-hmm. We were right on the precipice of our 8th year of our wedding anniversary.
Okay.
And actually, we got into this rut where for like a few days we were just like arguing. Mm-hmm. And we were having, this was actually like the worst.
It was actually like kind of the whole month. The month of May, we were really just kind of at odds.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to this point where I came to Ebony. I said, Ebony, what are we doing? Mm-hmm. What are we doing? How did we get here?
How did we even get here?
And subconsciously, we took our foot off the gas. Mm. And we were fussing and fighting about who said what, who's wrong, who's right.
Why you wrong? Why you right?
And loving consciously, live happily came from that moment.
Mm-hmm. That moment.
We kind of reinforced and re-solidified our goal is to be happy and to be healthy.
Right.
So that's where that stems from, love consciously, to live happily.
Right.
So now that's the DNA of J&E Coaching.
Mm-hmm. The crazy thing is, all along, it's always been something that has lived within our marriage. Mm-hmm. So we came into our relationship with a level of intentionality.
Okay.
Not really realizing that it was actually something that it was, a vital piece that's often missing in a lot of relationships. But we didn't think anything of it because it's ours. It's just what we do. But when we, got to that space last May, it was like, you know what, hey, let's reset. And that's what we did. We actually call it a reset.
Awesome. So we're going to get a little bit more into that. I want to dive a little deeper, okay? Because I hear some things in there, okay? But before we jump into that, I want to know your love story. How did you all meet to get to this point of last May?
Okay, we're going to make this short.
Short and sweet.
We met at church, and I found out where she worked at the time, and I just started courting her. I don't know if people still use that terminology.
They don't.
But I was just, who is this? And fast forwarding to, we had our first conversation, and it was 5 hours long.
5 hours long. Oh. It was by far the most transparent conversation I believe I've ever had in my life. During this conversation, it was literally, he called me, and Joseph said, this is who I am. This is what I stand for. These are my values. This is what I'm looking for. Are you it?
And
Literally.
Hold on. He said, what now?
Literally.
What'd he say?
Literally. This is who I am.
Uh-huh.
This is what I stand for.
Okay.
These are my values.
Uh-huh.
This is what I'm looking for.
Uh-huh.
Are you it?
Listen, y'all, I hope we got some men listening on today. Intentional. You knew what you wanted.
Yes.
now the two motivators in life is pain and pleasure.
Pain and pleasure.
Yeah.
We both, right before we met each other, we both experienced a painful relationship. So that's why we were so intentional in coming to this relationship. And she did the same thing I did. We talked for 5 hours, and we was like, what are your morals? What is your perspective on faithfulness, commitment?
That's so important.
5 hours nonstop.
Nonstop. And literally, we've been together ever since that phone conversation.
So basically what I hear is you all did it differently than a lot of us do it today.
Yes.
Okay. You use some terms, courting and different things that we don't really use or do.
Right.
And maybe that's a lot of the issue with us that are trying to navigate through love and relationships. So let's go back to the, love consciously to live happily. Talk about that a little more as to how you got from point A to that point and what that actually means for people who are navigating. Like, what does that actually mean from a woman's standpoint, from a male standpoint? What does that look like?
Okay. So Joseph and I knew immediately that, like, okay, this is my husband, that's my wife. So we automatically came into our relationship with the level of knowing, okay? So that was number one. We came in with the level of knowing. Once we had that knowing, we decided to sit down and say, you know what? We both desire something different. We don't have a blueprint for it. How are we going to create this, okay? And so that literally began our process of the beginning of loving consciously. So for us, it began as, what was your past relationship like? What's the dynamic with your parents? How does that affect you?
But because Miss Angela, you have to understand, we come from families where we're the babies in the families, right? Mm-hmm. And other than one other sibling between both our families, we're the only ones that's married.
That are married.
Wow.
So
you had to create
a new narrative.
You had to create your own way of doing it. Exactly. I get it.
And we both actually, another thing is we actually both come from two-parent homes.
Exactly.
Okay? We come from two-parent homes, but something that we learned through our experience and our process is that quantity does not equal quality.
And also, to dovetail off what Ebony's saying, is that seeing our parents grow up, as she alluded to, two-parent homes, we wanted the opposite. So we really wanted to work as a team because we knew that it was going to take us being partners in order for us to work everything out that we need to work out.
Yeah. How can two walk together?
Except they agree.
Agree.
All right. Okay, so something I heard you say, this ain't even on my notes, okay? But it's something that I have wondered about and always wanted clarity on, especially when it comes from a male perspective. You said that you all had a level of knowing. You knew.
Yes.
You knew that you knew.
Yes.
That you knew that you knew,
yes.
Okay? I hear a lot of men say that. They knew the moment they saw her. That was their wife. And then there's a few that I hear that's impossible. There's no way that you could know. I mean, what is that? What is the difference between the man that says he knew right away and the one that says there's no way? You would have to get to know her and do this and do that, and then you'll know.
I can tell you the difference.
Okay.
I do believe the primary difference is knowing yourself.
Okay.
You have to be tapped in to you. You have to be tapped in. You have to be sure about you. If I'm confident and sure about who Ebony Lynette is, how she shows up, guess what? When I make decisions, they're exact because I'm sure. And
One of the greatest books that we read is by T.D. Jakes, Instinct.
Yeah.
So kind of going back to the whole knowing aspect is that we unequivocally knew we were for each other because we tapped into the instinct. Some people may say instinct, gut feeling, what have you. So we knew without a shadow of a doubt that this was it, you know? And it's just being honest with yourself. You know, it's not getting into relationships for lust.
Yeah.
But
The
for
right
love.
reasons, yeah.
Right, exactly.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to swing it back to a woman's perspective, if I can get it out, perspective. Okay, how do we as women, Ebony, how do we handle not feeling heard or understood without being ugly, okay? Without talking crazy, without, nagging, without, I saw that on, I think, one of the blog posts, and I'd like to know your perspective.
Okay.
A lot of us, we carry these things, and I'm the kind of person, I don't like conflict. Okay. It's very difficult for me to bring up something that is very important to me because I don't want to come across as if I'm nagging or I'm fussing or I got a problem.
Okay, this is actually a good one, and it's actually pretty easy, okay? One of the things that has allowed me to really step into what you're talking about, because actually, before, like the woman that you see or the woman, that people see, I've not always been this woman, right? I've evolved.
Right.
I've evolved.
Women evolve.
I have evolved, okay? One thing is that within our relationship, we set a foundation that if one of us has enough courage and vulnerability to say something, it's important enough for the other person to listen.
Yes.
There is, within our relationship, something that I actually struggle with for a long time is quantifying things as small or quantifying them as, it's not a big deal.
Okay.
Or, it's just little. I didn't want to,
But it's not.
But the thing that Joseph set a foundation for me was, one, there is no such thing as big and small. If it's on your heart, it matters.
Yeah, that's good.
And because it's on your heart, if it matters to you, it matters to me. And over time, that gave me the courage to be vulnerable and to say, okay, this is what's on my heart.
Awesome. Okay, well, that helped me out a little bit and I do that. I do minimize things, or I'm not going to bring that up because that's not important, or it's important to me, but it won't be important to him.
Okay, and I love the fact that you said, okay, something else, and thank you for hitting on this. Something else is that when we are afraid to voice our concerns, really it's a matter of self-worth, how we see ourselves, how we see our level of value, okay? What's really interesting is that I recently had an experience, and long story short, I ended up coming up with this affirmation that I've literally been repeating to myself, which is that I choose to let my voice be heard. I choose to take up space in this world.
Yes.
And I choose to matter.
Yes.
And the reason why I need to step into that is because when I can step into that, this flows so much better.
It does.
Because it starts from self.
Yeah.
Like everything is from self.
Very true. Okay. Go on and get me together then. Okay. Your turn. From a male's perspective, and I have a few of them, but we're going to just start with this one right here. From a man's perspective, how do men, or how should they go about avoiding talking about serious topics or things that are sensitive? In my experience, I've come across men who, when it comes to surface level stuff, they can talk all day. When it comes to sex, they can talk all day, and they are very open, and they can communicate and express themselves. But when it comes to matters of the heart, when it comes to the emotional stuff, they clam up. And I know, personally, what why many of them had an issue, but just I guess a broad general explanation, because a lot of us women deal with that. Like it's feel like almost like you're trying to pull that part of them out, and like you said, when that's a missing component within themselves, nothing else can happen or flow when it comes to love, and it's hard.
Okay, Miss Angela, I have the perfect solution. Men typically, you got like this. Men typically operate from a 2P formula. P is in Peter. Provide and protect. Mm-hmm. But being in this marriage with Ebony, I've learned a third P. So provide, protect, and pay attention.
Yes, Lord.
Men, we haven't been conditioned to pay attention to our significant others. So when it comes to dealing with the sensitive things, just give a quick backstory to give you all a more transparent view of our relationship. You all can't see this, obviously. You listen to this, but Ebony, how much do you weigh now?
165.
Ebony, at her heaviest weight, was what?
274.4 pounds.
Not 0.4.
I got it down.
Ooh.
274.4 pounds.
So it's through the challenges of life that you have to create a safe haven. That's something that we say. You have to create a safe haven for your significant other to feel comfortable. But it goes back to the 3P formula. The third tier is paying attention. Yeah, paying attention to the details. She has to feel safe. She has to feel secure. So whenever she comes to her significant other, you have to just provide a safe haven where she can feel safe and know that she can just be vulnerable and say whatever she needs to say. So it's that third pillar. You got to pay attention. Because it's not enough to pay the bills if you don't pay attention. It's not enough to protect her if you don't pay attention.
I'm about to throw all just throw. You better talk. It's not enough.
You have to pay attention.
And that's a lot of times that is the rebuttal. Like, but I did this. I paid your bill. I got this for you. I just want to come
now. I just want to come home and watch TV. Blah blah blah. I get it. Men still need to have time. They need to have their times, but it's an antiquated formula that men are still operating by, and they're not paying attention.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna get into another blog post that I saw on the website. Why am I still single? I ain't talking about me. No, I know. That's not. I don't know. I don't talk about my business like that. But why am I still single? What made? I mean, I guess is that a question that a lot of people ask, or they come to you. So why are a lot of folks single? It's so many people in the world. It's so much, so many options and choices. What's going on?
There's a lot of different ways we can tackle this thing. So maybe I'll come at one perspective and you're going to dovetail off me, or you come at a different perspective. Okay. But one of the reasons so many, and this is predominantly women, so we'll contort our message for women. So I think one of the reasons why so many women are single is because they have to really approach relationships have evolved from I need you to I want you.
Very true.
So relationships have evolved from need to be to want to be. Women are not getting together in relationships now because they need a man, right?
Very true.
Because they want a man. Yeah. So, but also conversely, women are approaching relationships with the wrong energy, with the wrong vibrations of I want you, but at the same time I don't need you. I can make my own money. I can take care of my own children.
So let's break that. Let's break that down. So yeah, the truth of the matter is she may not need him. However, it's the way you go about it.
You have to.
Come on.
Let him use you.
Come on.
Here's my problem. So I just turned 35 on my birthday, which was in January, okay? But we definitely have very, very old souls, so to speak. The problem that we often see, especially in today's era, I am so incredibly proud to be a woman in this era, in that we have the opportunity for advancement. We have the opportunity, to become more educated, to become economically empowered. It's not like it was like in the 50s when we were housewives. Pretty much that was the only option we had, right?
Marginalized.
Exactly. Today, it's different. Unfortunately, though it is a benefit, it's also a curse, okay? It's a curse in that because we have the wherewithal to have it all in terms of, well, I can take care of the kids myself. I have a good paying job. I can buy that house myself. I don't need you. I don't need a man. Oh, that's one of our favorite. I don't need a man. I don't need a man. But sis, you want to be married, right? The truth is that when you take on the mindset of I don't need, you literally come across to that man with that same energy. The truth is that we're operating more so in masculine energy. So we throw masculine energy back at men. A real man don't want. Real man does not desire another. That yes.
No, we do not.
Right. A real
they enjoy
man
the femininity
wants
of a woman.
the softness of a woman.
I agree.
I agree. That is a part of the problem. Also, we're not teachable. A lot of us are not teachable. We hear especially in certain circles, we hear the word submission and we run. I don't need to submit.
Or we instantly get an attitude.
Or we instantly get an attitude.
Yeah.
Not taking the time to really understand the power and true submission.
The benefit.
Exactly.
But you know what? I love that you said that, and it's true, whether we want to hear it or not. And I personally have really honed in on that for myself, because when you have, or if you have been single for a long period of time, and you've raised your child a long period of time, it is very difficult to bring someone else in. And because you make the decisions, you pay the bills, and you make the bread, and you have these businesses, and you are doing it alone, that masculine energy does usually, overpower, so I've been for myself trying to get back to the softer side of me, and I just wrote that in my blog that I just started. I'm trying to go back to blogging, and I said that, like, God, I'm ready to let that part of me, that harsh exterior. Now, I've never told a man that I don't need him, because I feel like I may not need you for one thing, but I may need you in this area because I don't have it all. Like, we are a team.
Exactly.
But there is this where I can be very dismissive because I know that I got it. You know what I'm saying? And so that has been my prayer in going into the new year, because I don't want to... First of all, it's tiring. It's exhausting.
Talk about it. No one
it's
talks
exhausting
about that. It is utterly
Especially
exhausting.
if you have someone there who is willing.
Exactly.
You don't have to do it alone.
Why do you have to? And that's one of the things that Joseph seriously taught me, that it is okay.
It's okay
for me to relinquish things to allow him to handle them. Because the truth is that, yes, I can manage finances or whatever else, but guess what? I don't have to, and I don't. I let that man do it. I let my husband take care of that for me. But I allow him to take care of it for me. Honestly, it makes me feel good. It's one less thing for me to even have to be concerned about. And that he wants
to do it.
Exactly.
Because he could be like some that would be like, I ain't doing that.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he had, it's... I was going to call you our home name, but, he's got it handled.
Yeah, that's good.
He's got it handled, and I'm safe to allow him to handle it.
Safe. And that's a lot of what we seek as women, is safety. And security.
Yes.
So what would you say, from a male's perspective, why a lot? Because I know a lot of good men that are single. I have some amazing male friends that are, just like, man, nothing out there.
Well, I think it just kind of goes full circle back to men are seeing women in this energy of I don't need a man. See, what's happening is that, and it's not for women. This is not everybody,
right?
But women are CEO at work, and they're bringing CEO at home.
Yeah,
and men don't want that. So as far as the male perspective is, me being a man and seeing what's going on in the landscape of the world right now is that men, they don't want a CEO. They want a wife. They want a best friend. They want a partner. We don't want a CEO.
Yeah.
We don't want a boss chick at home.
Come on.
Right.
He's looking for love.
We just want the chick. Leave the boss at the other place. We just want the chick.
So as they say in church, if you can't do nothing but stay out or amen. I want to ask you one more thing. I got to ask this. I was finna just go ahead and conclude this, but I got to ask. What is it with some? And listen, y'all, this is not everybody. If you know it don't apply to you, then go on. But if the shoe fits, wear it. Okay. What is it with men? Because I hear this all the time. Me and my homegirls talk that say they want you and they pursue you and they have all of these lovely, beautiful words that sound so good, but no action behind it, or they go so far in pursuing you and getting your interest, especially if you're a woman that's busy and on the go. They finally lock you in and get your interest, and then when you're like, okay, what's going on? What we finna do? They ghost or step back, or they what is that?
It's a multiplicity of different things. One thing that comes to my mind is that, and I'm gonna be very transparent, when once again Angela said it already, this is not all, but when some women get into relationships, when they're having sex with the man,
yeah, say it.
You didn't already gave it away.
So he just lose. I laugh because I literally just had this conversation and that's what was said, exactly. But I just want the people to hear it. Okay.
That's one perspective. Another perspective is that some men are simply scared. Mm-hmm. I was scared when Ebony and I got married. I was scared. Once again, I told you that we don't have a blueprint.
Yeah.
So not having that guidance, a mentor, a leader to guide me, literally everything who I am today is on the job training. So you got the sex aspect. You have men or not, they just don't know. They don't have the guidance.
But even with that though, Joseph, like you said, you didn't have a blueprint and you were scared. But guess what? He never stopped pursuing me.
Yeah, he was still intentional. And that's what. Me. Okay, so I heard you say, because I have ran across in my some odd years, the fear aspect, or being with a man that was hurt so badly, or divorced, or dealt with infidelity in past relationships, so they are very much so broken and afraid when you meet them. How should a woman deal with it, or should they even try to go on that road? Because a lot of times it feels like you're just helpless, and you can't necessarily heal some areas. But
actually, let me backtrack for a minute.
Okay.
Dealing with the whole construct of men ghosting or leaving or not following through. Going to loving consciously, living happily, being intentional. We got together with a plan. Right. We just didn't hook up just to hook. So that's vitally important.
Because we usually skip that part.
Yes.
So and skip that part and go to the bed sometimes.
But we did this in the beginning.
Yeah.
I wish I was exaggerating, but it was
so both partners have to be clear on what is this relationship for.
Why are we here?
Because you can get 6 months and 8 months down the road.
What are we doing? We didn't do that.
Are we here to have sex? Are we here because you have daddy issues?
And then tell the truth.
Are we here because you want me to pay bills? Why are we here?
And if it is, tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
So
be honest.
Give somebody a decision and a choice to say, okay, or no, that ain't gonna work.
No, really.
And that's what I see. Like when that question is asked, there's a level of dishonesty.
Yeah.
Because if she says, are we just, what are we doing? Are we just kicking it? A lot of times people say, oh no, I'm just trying to get to know you because I want, and it's like, that's not what you're doing.
No, that's not what you're doing. So here's the thing. The 5-hour conversation, our 1st conversation and the 5-hour conversation, Joseph told me, I'm looking to get married.
See?
What are you, essentially, are you on board with that? Right? So what people don't do now is that we don't have the tough conversations in the beginning because we feel as though we need to try to get to know you better, fill you out or whatever. No, ma'am, no, sir. We don't subscribe to that.
We had an idiom that we came up with that says your destination determines your decisions
And your
drive.
Yes.
Your destination. And you know that we're setting a goal. You set the goal and then you build the infrastructure in to achieve the goal.
And that's with anything that you want success in.
Exactly.
So why do we not do that with relationships?
Why do we not do it with relationships? And it ought to be.
Because we're looking at celebrity status, we're looking at bank accounts. Oh, girl, he looks good.
So,
Timetables, biological clocks.
Exactly.
Everything but what we need to be focused on.
yes.
So to summarize this part is that intentionality. When you hook up with the guy, why are we here? What do you want? How are you going to help me? How am I going to help you? What's the strategy? Why are we together?
And if they cannot answer those questions, it's probably best.
Seriously, if you know that you are looking to, essentially, if you know that you're a woman or a man that's looking to get married, when you have that initial conversation and you find out that this person is just like, oh, I'm just trying to feel my way, we know how they sound. We know all the iterations of it, right? Whenever it sounds like that, it's literally thank you for your time. It was a pleasure to see you.
So what happens when it
one.
changes? So what happens in the beginning if you both are like, you know what, I just came out of something, and I ain't looking for nothing too serious. But then over time, it does, something is like, wait a minute, this could be something. And so you come back to the table to have this conversation, and it's like, you know what? Things have changed. I didn't want anything at the beginning, but now this is what I want. How do you approach that? Or how do you correct not having had that conversation in the beginning for those people who are in that situation? So again, how do you re-examine if something has changed, and how do you correct not having the conversation in the beginning if it's, if you're able to do that?
I think you already answered it. If you're in a relationship and things change, you just have to be honest and just bring it to the table and be transparent. And once again, those conversations, as simple as that may seem, people aren't having those conversations. So once again, you have a couple that's together. Let's say they got together just to have sex, okay? But then they start getting attached to each other. And then maybe you have one person that's really feeling the other person, and the other person is still thinking, I'm just here to have sex.
Right.
So then they're frustrated and they're flustered because one of them is thinking one thing and the other person is thinking another thing.
True.
But they never had a conversation.
Literally what came to mind is closed mouths, they don't get fed.
Well, okay. Well, y'all heard it here. In closing, what would you say the best advice, relationship advice or marital advice, or it could apply to anybody, engaged, dating, married, single. What is the best advice you would offer to women, Ebony, and what is the best advice that you would offer to men, Joseph?
For women, and I almost feel like it may be the same, you might say the same thing, which is get to know yourself.
Very good.
Get to know yourself. Enough with the jumping in and out of relationships,
beds,
fresh beds.
Yeah.
Stop all of that.
Right.
Especially when you're bed hopping. Each time you do it, you're literally losing pieces of yourself.
Very true.
Afterwards, you have to go back and collect all those little pieces to try to figure out, okay, well, who am I?
Yeah.
Let's stop that, get back to self.
That's good.
And I'll just say intentionality. When you get together, just ladies, when you just have to making a decision, and that means to cut off.
Yes.
So, ladies, you have to cut off old limiting beliefs, self-worth, self-doubt, whatever it is.
That's good.
Value yourself.
Yes.
Value yourself. You're a queen. Value yourself and know unequivocally when you get in a relationship, or if you're already in a relationship, that you demand respect.
Yes.
That you demand honesty.
Demand it. You deserve that much. Okay, so what is the best quality in Joseph, Ebony, and Joseph? What is the best quality that you love about Ebony? And I promise y'all we're going to close.
Okay, fine. Okay.
So I'm asking that because, listen, I'm looking at them and how they feed off of each other and their cohesiveness. And I love it, y'all. So I just got to know.
Thank you. It crazy enough. And I do tell Joseph this. I tell Joseph this often.
What'd you tell me, baby?
This is something that I don't think many people would actually say, okay? Which is that I love the fact that Joseph is able to see me, not with his two natural eyes, but with his spiritual eyes. Right. He can see me. He sees me. He sees all of me. Because he can see all of me, he calls me out. He builds me up. He literally knows. Literally, God has used this man to pull greatness out of me. Wow. I can stand on that. God has used my husband to pull greatness out of me. That's really what I love about him the most. He's not afraid. He's not afraid to say, because anyone who knows of me knows that I'm like strong. You know, I'm a strong woman, so to speak, right? But Joseph, he's stronger. He knows how to step up. And I've literally learned how to literally acquiesce to what he sees. I appreciate it.
Oh my God. Thank you. That's so beautiful.
Okay. There's a lot, but I'll say this. We're all familiar with IQ, intellectual quotient, but I would say AQ, adaptability quotient. So through the ebbs and flows of our relationship, being up, being down, Ebony is able to adjust, right? So, when we first got together, we didn't have anything. And you have to understand that with divorce, most divorces doesn't happen with infidelity. It's finances. So when we got together, we didn't have anything. And to go from where we are then to be where we are now, started a business, J&E coaching, speaking engagements, doing all those different things like that. And for her to, hey, what do we need to do? I got your back. You got my back. And to have somebody like that in your corner by your side is priceless.
Oh my gosh. This has been so amazing. Thank you both for joining me and taking your time out to come out in the cold and the rain to talk about this. I've been helped and blessed, and I believe that our listeners have as well. So let people know how they can get in touch with you all if they want to become clients, if you're on social media, website, all of that good stuff.
Okay. So, again, we're Joseph and Ebony Williams. You can find us at www.jandecoaching.com. We are J&D Coaching on Instagram and Facebook as well.
YouTube too.
Oh yeah, YouTube too. God.
And I want to say this really fast as a precursor, is that we've taken some time away from social media because we don't want to be a public success but a private failure.
Come on.
So we've taken some time for ourselves, to ourselves, but we're working on a bunch of new content that we're going to be releasing on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. And we're working on a group coaching program, so we have a lot that's going to be coming up in the near future.
Cool. And this episode right here, you will not only be able to hear it, you all are used to hearing me, but for season 2, you're going to see me too. Okay. So you will see us on YouTube on the Ever Evolving Podcast. YouTube, you'll see this episode and all of the others for season 2. So thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Ebony. J&E. I said Ebony. Ebony. Talking too fast. J&E Coaching. Thank y'all. This was great. This was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
yeah, 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 yeah. The ever evolving. Yeah, 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 yeah. The ever evolving. The ever evolving. The ever evolving. This your podcast. The ever evolving.
All right, that's a wrap.